Hello and welcome to our third video on terminal aerodrome forecasts. In this video we'll continue talking about the different elements included in TAFs. So we've worked our way through the type of the report, the ICAO station ID, date and time of origin, the valid period, and now we're going to discuss wind, visibility, significant weather and sky condition, and low-level wind shear. So we'll start out with wind, and the first thing in wind is the wind direction, always given with 3 digits. The wind direction is with respect to true north, and they will always forecast or give you the estimated or forecasted wind direction if the winds are forecast to be more than or equal to 7 knots. So anything less than 6 knots, they don't have to forecast the direction, but more than 7 knots, more than or equal to 7 knots, they will. The wind speed may be either 2 or 3 digits, depending upon how strong the wind is. I have never seen 3-digit winds forecasted, winds of more than 100 knots. Of course, here in the U.S., we forecast our winds in knots. If you're flying internationally, you may see meters per second. That's very common in Eastern European countries. And then they will also forecast gusts, which is the highest wind speed expected during that period of time. Wind direction is forecasted as variable if it's less than or equal to 6 knots and there's no real definitive direction that the wind is coming from. So that's only if it's less than or equal to 6 knots. But if there are thunderstorms moving through a given location, then they will forecast variable wind direction with much stronger winds and also gusts. And calm winds are coded 00000. Visibility is forecasted in whole and fractions of statute miles. They always forecast or give you specific visibilities if the visibility is less than or equal to 6 miles. When that occurs, they give you also the weather phenomena that's reducing the visibility. But if the visibility is greater than 6 miles, then they don't need to include the obscuration unless there is precipitation. They always give you the precipitation even if the visibility is greater than 6 miles. And also volcanic ash if there is volcanic ash in the region. The weather phenomena that is coded uses the same contractions that are used in METARs. However, they don't use UP, which is unknown precipitation. Forecasters, when they're making a forecast, they typically know what type of precipitation they're forecasting. And then, of course, they use qualifiers for the phenomena, such as the intensity, whether it be heavy or light or moderate. And also they can use vicinity, and we'll look at that shortly. As I mentioned earlier, precipitation is always included if it is occurring, as is volcanic ash, regardless of visibility. And obscurations are included whenever the visibility is less than 6 miles or less. Of course, the weather conditions that we were just discussing, the forecasts always assume that they're occurring within 5 miles of the airport. However, if a forecaster thinks there's going to be certain types of weather at a distance from the airport, 5 to 10 miles from the airport, it's at their discretion to use the VC qualifier. And VC, of course, stands for vicinity. Whenever we talk about vicinity and TAFs, we're talking 5 to 10 miles. Forecasters can only use vicinity for 3 different types of weather phenomena. That would be fog, showers, and also thunderstorms. As far as sky condition is reported the same way as it is in METARs, or forecasted the same way as it is in METARs. However, instead of using CLR, they use SKC to denote that there is a clear sky. And of course, the height of the clouds are always given in hundreds of feet AGL. The only type of cloud that is forecasted is cumulonimbus, and that will be appended to the altitude of the cloud group. Vertical visibility is forecasted if they expect the sky to be obscured by a surface-based weather phenomena. Partial obscurations are not forecasted. And then non-convective low-level wind shear is forecasted, and that's only when the criteria is met. Once again, there's very strict criteria for forecasting, and that includes non-convective low-level wind shear. If there's no wind shear, you will not see the wind shear group. WS indicates low-level wind shear. Low-level wind shear is forecasted for a certain height above the airport. So, in other words, right after WS, you'll see the height at which they forecast the wind shear. In this case, it's 2,000 feet, and that's reported in hundreds of feet above ground level. And then at that altitude, they will give you the wind direction and wind speed. Whenever you're looking at low-level wind shear, you should compare that wind shear group with the surface winds. In this case, the surface winds are 160 at 10, gusting to 18, and at 2,000 feet AGL, the winds are 170 at 45. You can see that there is a significant change in wind speed, and that denotes shear. So that's your third video on TAFs. There are 2 more coming, so hang on.